But I want to tell you the story how after 10 years entertaining as a band, as a five-piece combo, and getting this pretty good clubs, my brother was in Alaska. It was really crazy. I had thought, oh, we're ready for Vegas. I mean, we're doing great numbers. People are enjoying it, the clubs. And I had this one agency, Wally McDonald, that was watching me, but from a club. But this is kind of a shortcut away from this. My brother in Alaska was a big old wild crazy logger cutter. I mean, he cut with his crews of people, cut the right-of-ways to clean the logging and made the right-of-ways for power into Juneau and Ketchikan and those type towns up in Alaska. And one day he was sitting at the Red Dog Saloon with his crew. They'd flown in on helicopters because that's the way they took them in and out. They'd pick them up in the first of the day early, and then they'd go get them at night and bring them in and drop them off again in one of those towns. But they were sitting in the Red Dog Saloon, which, believe it or not, is one of the most famous taverns in the world. It's classified as one of the top so many. And they were sitting there at this round table and with beer bottles and jugs stacked up halfway to the ceiling. And he had 7 workers that worked for it, and they always smelled like an old chainsaw. Their pants were cut off. I won't put my leg up there to show you, but their pants were cut off clear up to their knees practically, and they smelled like oil in a chainsaw. But all of a sudden, here this guy walks in, big old tall guy in a black suit, and looked like about a $5,000 suit. I mean, I found out later it was. And he had a woman on each hand, a beautiful blonde on each arm. And he walked in and sat up at the bar, and Alan says to his crew, he says, "Look at that old S." And I won't use his language because that wouldn't be good in the show, but he uses a lot of explicit, so I'll pass up on those. He said, "Look at that old blankety blank with 2 women, and I got none, and you ugly old such and such," another blank, blank, blank. He said, "I'm going to go over and ask him what he's doing in Alaska." And the guys say, "Oh, Alan, Bunker, don't do that. Bunker, don't do that." And he's, "Nope, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to see what he's doing up here, ask him why he's got 2 beautiful women." And, well, they'd been drinking, so you imagine he was a little probably over the top. And so he goes over and hits him on the back, this guy that's sitting on the chair in a big old black suit. Businessman, you can tell he was a businessman. And the guy looked shocked and turned around and he says, "Well, I'm Bill Green, and I'm up here on business." He says, "I'm up here on business." And he says, "This is my wife," as calm as could be. "And this is my wife." This is what they tell me. And Bill Green told me later. He said, "This is my wife, and this is her sister." He says, "Join us. I'll buy you drinks, buy you around." So he bought the bands, just what they didn't need. Alan partied with them in Alaska. Just they're so crazy. They said, "Why don't you go?" And got to know them very well. And about the first week, it was just about a week. And Bill asked Alan, he says, "Do you have a brother that plays music and has a band in Washington?" And Alan was a little shocked by it. And Alan says, "Yes." He said, "That's my brother David. He's got a nice little band putting together in Washington." And Bill says to him, he says, our booking agent from that area, Wally McDonald, has mentioned that to me and has been watching that band." He says, and it was kind of weird. I mean, out of the sky, you meet a guy like that in Alaska, and on the spot, here's a guy that knows, that owns half of the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas. And so he said, "Wait till you tell Carolyn Barrett, my entertainment director at the Golden Nugget, that when he feels he's ready with his band, you tell him to call Carolyn." I called and talked to Carolyn Barrett, and I said, "Carolyn, Bill," and Bill's already mentioned it. She says, "So is Wally." She says, "I've already got a spot if you want it." And so she set me up for a 6-week spot. And we worked there for 10 years off and on. Every 6 to 8 weeks, we were at the Golden Nugget. And what a place. I mean, it was the Whale and the Merle Haggard, the Johnny Paycheck, the Everly Brothers. Oh my gosh, Barbara Mandrell, you couldn't name a country group that wasn't at the Golden Nugget. But it was amazing what you learned and the beauty and the ugliness that you saw in people. It was sad. I don't call ugliness in the way of the people. They were sweet, good, talented, very talented people. But some of their habits got to them after a while and hurt them badly. But it was a real education in life to just get to work with those people and know those people and spend time with them. It was a gift from God that all of you should have, because it's that important. Thank you for asking. I'm sorry to wander off on that deal, but that was a fun time in my life, and it was a fun time. It was a neat experience how that happened. Thank you.